I think. Yeah, I recognize. Yep. Sure. Sure. All right, let's call to order the Lititz Borough Council Meeting for September 24th, 2024. Mayor, the invocation and the pledge.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's invocation will be given by Rob Mayalis from St. Paul Lutheran Church.
Thank you for this opportunity. This last weekend's events remind us that there's real people who live in this town and there's often real hurts. And so I thank you for all the work that you do on our behalf. So let us pray. Dear God, I pray for those who are assembled here this night, and there's a holy task, and that task is trying to figure out how we can steward the resources of this community to help improve the lives of all the people here. So I pray for your wisdom and your guidance and your patience for all those in this room tonight. Amen.
Could you please rise for the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, and the nation under God.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we do the approval of meeting minutes, I would just like to note that council had an executive session prior to council meeting tonight just to discuss some personnel matters. Two meeting minutes, gang, that we have. We have the August 27th council meeting and also the September 10th comprehensive plan hearing. I want to get a chance to review those.
I would make a motion to accept the August committee meeting minutes as written and the September 10th meeting minutes with a minor addition of the date of 10 at the top of the agenda.
Thank you.
At the top of the minutes to indicate the date.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. All right, as we had a couple months ago, we are going to recess the regular council meeting as we will be opening up for a hearing that we have on the agenda tonight. Just want to confirm the applicant is here tonight for the 18 South Locust Street partial demolition. Okay, just want to make sure before I start reading 1,000 things here that you're here. Okay, we're going to, you are here, I'm sorry. I just said you'd be getting in here just last minute. Thank you. All right, bear with me all. For those of you who are here a couple months, I've got a couple pages I have to read here. So we are starting the conditional use application for 18 South Locust Street partial demolition. The applicant will be given the opportunity to preside its request to the Borough Council, during which time the Borough Council may ask questions of the applicant. Formal rules of evidence will not apply. However, Borough Council deserves the right to limit repetitive, redundant information and questions that have no relevance to the issue at hand. At the conclusion of the applicant's presentation, parties represented by council, if any, will be afforded the opportunity to ask questions of each witness. Borough Council will then ask additional questions it may have of the witness. After the council has asked its questions, anyone else present who wishes to ask questions of the applicant will be given the opportunity to do so. Parties opposing the application, if any, will be afforded the opportunity to present testimony. The same procedure will be followed with regard to cross-examination of those witnesses. At the conclusion of the hearing, any person who wishes to make a statement on the record may do so. If the statement is to be considered as evidence, the statement must be made under oath. Borough Council may or may not make its decision this evening. It is important to remember that everyone is afforded a full, fair, and impartial opportunity to present statements either in favor or in opposition to the application. Consequently, your cooperation is requested in allowing all witnesses to make their statements. Individuals may be expressing opinions different than yours and should be afforded the opportunity to do so. Everyone that wishes to make a statement in favor or in opposition to this application before the council will have an opportunity to do so. Do not make statements when you're asking questions of a witness. The opportunity to make statements will come at the conclusion of the testimony in this matter. There's one hearing on the agenda this evening. Can we identify the parties to the hearing? Yep. State your name.
Good evening, Chris Mulder, owner of 18 South Locust.
Are there any other, go ahead.
Good evening, Michael Zell, Senior Project Developer, Dunbach Builders.
Are there any other parties directly affected by this application? Okay. Elijah, do you want to read the documents? The official file and record?
I have, excuse me, I have the notice to advertise this hearing, which ran on September 9th and September 16th in LNP. I have my review letter towards Planning Commission and Council. I have the draft minutes of the Planning Commission meeting from September 3rd, which has a recommendation of approval for this application. And I have the complete conditional use application for this demolition application.
Okay. Thinking you just hit all three of these different things I'm supposed to read off and ask you.
Sorry.
Right. So I'm gonna skip this.
file.
All right. I think it's really just to give the oath to the applicant then.
Sure. Do.
Go ahead and share your presentation.
Yeah, so Chris Mulder, again, owner of 18 South Locust here in Lititz. My wife and I purchased the house on June 5th of this year with full intention to make it our full-time home as soon as we can get some renovations done on the house. And plan all along was to renovate the house with keeping the historic character, but adding some modern amenities to it. As we talked to several contractors about the potential plans, became apparent that the back of the house, which is currently in the kitchen, we were seeking to add some square footage, add a modern bathroom and bedroom on the second floor. And it became apparent that the back of the house structure, I think there's a picture of the actual house in here too. There you can see to the right there is a structure that was added sometime after 1912, currently serving as the kitchen. There became apparent through talking to multiple contractors that structure was poorly constructed and old and wasn't going to carry the weight of it, any additional structure going to go on top of it. So we went through, again, did a historic review and found the original structure, which is again to the left of the diagonal roof there, was built sometime around 1894. And that originally that back structure wasn't part of the house. There was in earlier than 1912, there were some insurance maps that showed an outdoor kitchen that was off of the structure, but then sometime again after 1912 was the last time that we saw the insurance map that didn't include it. This structure was added. It's been renovated several times, and the electric in it and all that needs to be redone. But really, we're concerned about the weight it could carry to go up. Again, full intention to keep the historic integrity of the original building, but to modernize it with an addition on the back, 2-story addition on the back. We included the renderings again that Mr. Zell did for us. And our plan is, as you can see, to remove, which is why we're here, the conditional use for partial demolition. We'll be pulling the back of the house off and then rebuilding new on top. I think that's the story.
All right, thank you. Does anybody from the public have any questions, Mr. Mulder? Okay. Council, questions, comments from Mr. Mulder?
Mr. Mulder, hi.
Hi.
Mary Gaddis, I'm a neighbor.
Oh,
So
nice.
Good to meet you and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
I'm curious, I'm looking at your drawings, but it's gonna be easier to ask you. How much further out will the building extend beyond the current addition that you'll be demolishing?
The main structure will be on the same footprint as the original,
Okay,
as the current foundation. The only thing that will be added is that back porch there on the back, and I believe that's 7 by 12.
okay,
Like, I think it's 7 by 12, so 7 feet out from that decking piece that will come out from the foundation there.
okay. And you have some pretty significant trees there, and one I know is on your lot right there, big oak tree, I believe, and is the other one adjacent? Is it in your neighbor's property or is it on your property?
Must
It
be,
must
we
impact.
only have the one oak tree
Okay,
that's still staying. There was one that had been taken out by the original or by a previous owner. But the
okay,
one is really kind of in the back left of that porch there,
right.
that's still standing. There's a dogwood probably just on the roof line of the addition there. And then anything else is in our neighbor's yard next door.
Do you anticipate needing to remove any trees in order to do your, and this is really, it's not really related to your approval. I'm just curious if you're doing anything to try to protect the trees or if you envision losing any of your trees.
I'll give
there.
my answer and then Mike can augment it with that. We
Okay.
don't want to take out any trees. The only thing that I see that could be disrupted is one branch off of the dogwood on the back right-hand side. I don't know if you've taken it.
Good, yeah.
That
Thank you.
big old oak is big and old though. And so
It is.
we'll be having somebody take a look at it pretty quick to see, how we maintain it. So.
We're lucky to have a number of those here in the borough, so, but we do have to take care of them. So that's my only question.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you for your work to deal with the historical nature of your property. Why did you move to Lititz? What brought you to
Good
Lititz?
question. You go hear my story. My wife and I moved down we live in Philadelphia now. And we did a 1872 house up in New England before we moved down here. Relocating for work out into Lancaster County. And I used to work for Cargill and used to come here for the Wilbur Chocolate Factory every now and then. And I'd always go home to Minnesota at the time and tell my wife what a great little town this was. And as life has it, here I am 15 years later. So
Don't tell anybody else,
yeah,
okay?
keep it quiet. I think the word's out. Sorry.
Anybody other questions? I honestly don't have any other questions. That. You have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept application. Partial demolition at 18 South Look.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'll share. I can appreciate. I live one block from you there, so I had to do the same thing and tear an addition off the back and put an addition on there. So it's on.
Getting it done. It's on you now. It is. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
All right. We can conclude the hearing and reconvene the regular council meeting. Other papers in front of me here. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
So it's my pleasure to welcome Carolyn Rice to Lititz Borough Council Meeting tonight. And Carolyn is our new director of the Lititz Library. So I will let you take it from there, Carolyn. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry, I feel like I'm a lot more mobile, so I'll try to stand here. But yeah, but thank you so much for allowing me to come share a little bit today. I've been in this position for about a month and a half. And already it's this community, I'm sure, as you all know, is such a welcoming community. So I'm really lucky to be here. I come from Adamstown Area Library and was there for 5 years, and I live in Lititz. So it's really a blessing to be able to be in my community and be a part of this. So yeah, so Mary did invite me just to introduce myself, but I can't just talk about me. So I did want to share just a little bit about the library. I know Ryan was with you guys recently, so I won't take too much of your time. But yeah, just wanted to just talk about what we've been doing and where we're going to go. So I'm ready when you are. Okay, so this is through August of this year. So we've had 113,725 visitors to the library. So that's on track for a 9% increase from our 2023 numbers. So that's really amazing. As you can see, we have 13,255 patrons with an active library card, which means that they have used it in the last 3 years. 4,484 of those are from the borough. And then it's just our goal to have everybody in the Lititz have a library card, and you can see we're on track towards that. So far this year, we've had 1,095 new registrants this year. And then just some other statistics, we've had about 250,000 items checked out, physical items, 91,545 are from residents of the borough, 26,000 ebooks were checked out. And then that is our spending on new print books. That includes our ADA materials and also includes our children's materials. And as far as what the library has saved the municipality in terms of, coming to the library, checking out an item from us rather than purchasing it themselves. So in 2023, we saved the borough $2,117,188.13. So, yeah, and then our internet presence is flourishing. We have quite a few website visits. Obviously, most of those are going to be people looking for programs or people, finding the catalog, but we have also a lot of people looking into our e-resources. Which I'll show you a couple of those in a little bit. And then our public computer sessions, we weren't really sure what that was going to look like post-COVID, where people were kind of having to pivot and figure out how to access their internet in different ways, but that's actually been holding pretty steady. And then 3,400 Facebook followers. I invite everyone in this room to add to that number. We would really appreciate it. And then there for our program attendance, that's looking at an increase of about 14% from last year. So obviously I haven't been long enough to take any credit for that. So it's just really my wonderful staff, Diane and Amy and Shannon, have done an amazing job with that there. And then that last number is just to show you a little bit about like how busy we are every single day, assisting patrons, answering questions. So ready. Okay, and then this is the part that I think is the most exciting. When I was at Adamstown, we built our brand new library, so I'm excited for any kind of building type projects. So these are just some thoughts that we've been looking at to enhance the space. So that very first one, the pods, we have a lot of people, coming in. They want to have a Zoom meeting, but we don't really have any private spaces, or kids coming in with a tutor, and they obviously want private space. So we're looking at having some pods, some private meeting space. As far as that circ desk, we, really base everything we do about our patrons' needs. So we've noticed that they are looking for a little bit more flexibility. So that could look like having a checkout space during story time in the children's area, or after a program, having that option there as well. So we're looking at some flexibility there. Our new doors, if you have been to the library, you know that we really need new doors. So again, that's just a general maintenance thing, but that is something that we're looking to do. And then as far as the patio, I finally was able to see our backyard story time for the first couple times. It's been really exciting. Our very first one, we had about 150 people. So we're looking to just have an access from the library a little bit easier down out to be able to access that space and use that area a little bit better. And then the last thing is very, very early. But we just want to be strategic, as we are with everything that we do. So we're just looking at our footprint and just seeing just trying to reevaluate and see what makes sense for the library. How do we use that space, and could we use the space better? I would say engineering wise, there's a possibility to move around the footprint a little bit, but again, we're just in the very early stages of discussing that. So, yeah. And we obviously be looking for input from our library users, from our municipalities. So when we know something, you will also know something. And then this is just some events that we have coming up. The jewelry sale has just happened over the weekend. We have an absolutely amazing friends group and they put that on for us as a fundraiser. We're very blessed to have them. Then coming up, we will be at Trunk or Treat at the Treehouse. We were invited this year, so that's really fun. That'll be October 16th. I've heard that it gets absolutely wild, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. And then November 2nd is our local author expo. So we have local authors come to the library. They're kind of all spread out, and then they get to meet with the community, answer questions, and then Aaron's Books will be there with us as well, selling books. And then finally, I have on there the Extra Give. We are a regular participant, but just a reminder that that's coming up. We were really grateful for the donations that we received last year. And we're just looking forward to another great year, potentially being able to use some of that for some of the renovations that I mentioned. So, yeah. And really quickly, just some photos of some of the programs. Like I said, we serve a large portion of the population through our programming. So we had flower arranging with Lancaster Flower Company right here in Lititz. We had a bad art night. We've had belly dancing, ballroom dancing. There's a sound bath, lectures. We have lots of concerts. We have one coming up on Saturday. So just always being very active and answering the call for what the community is looking for. And then the next one is just our children's programs. And so we have some African drumming, we have magicians, clowns, obviously, just craft programs. We had the Lancaster County Parks Department come out. So we work with them. We also did a Flag Day story time with the Lititz VFW. So it's important that, we're focusing on our community, and the children realize the importance of that as well. And what I thought was so funny, that's one of our family friends in the yellow shirt. And I was just looking at photos and I was like, what are the odds? So it's just like really fun for me just to see, again, this is my community, and I'm finally getting to experience it now that I'm here. So yeah. And then this is just a list of 100 plus things that you may or may not have known that the library has. I just there's more, honestly, but I just kind of think it looks fun when it's all laid out like that. So like we have the telescopes, we have a button maker, we have karaoke machine. There's lots of things that the library offers that, you may not realize. We have lots more than that's just books. Yeah, so we do have some of our databases there. We have really quickly, Help Now is a resource for our students, and that has live tutoring. They also help you write papers. Job Now is the same thing, but just for adults. You can have a practice interview with a live person. There is a practice, you can write a resume with them. And then the last one I wanted to mention, where is it? On there somewhere, LinkedIn Learning. That's just great for businesses. Anyone who might be looking to get some CE credits for their employees, that's a great resource for you, and that's totally free through the library. And then the last thing on this page I just wanted to mention was our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. So if you read a book to your child, my daughter's 3. So if I read a book to her every single day from birth to age 3, that would be about 1,000 books. And so that's just a way that we try to support our schools and help get children ready for starting school and starting kindergarten. And that's everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing to enhance our services for the current patrons that we have, and getting new patrons to come out to the library. But yeah, again, we're just really thankful for the community support that we have, and the municipal support. So thank you all so much. If you have any questions, I will answer.
I don't have any questions, but we definitely welcome you, Carolyn, and
Thank you.
looking forward to what new ideas you're going to bring to our library.
Thank you.
Just had one question for you, Carolyn, because I found this so interesting, and I think it's worth when Ryan presented to us last year before, and that is the nuance books. I don't know, are you noticing an increase in the library in checkouts of ebooks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's up a significant amount. So it makes it kind of interesting because the cost model for ebooks is very different. So like, whereas with a regular book, you could pretty much check that out until basically it falls apart. With ebooks, they're like triple to sometimes quadruple the price, and then you can only get like maybe 12 checkouts out of them. So because we have seen such an input, obviously, like we are looking to serve our patrons wherever they are. So we have seen an increase in it. Obviously still not as much as with, physical materials. But yeah, we've been trying to allocate as many resources as we can to that. Just it's a little bit harder because of how expensive they are.
Exactly. That hits your budget, I can imagine,
Yes.
because if you're only getting at the most 12
Yeah,
checkouts.
yeah,
from one
depending on the
ebook
model.
Subscription, right? And
Yeah.
that's a huge.
Yeah, I
Right.
know. The most expensive one I ever saw was a Stephen King. It was $150 and it was just for a year. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, that's hard to budget for, but I just
Yeah.
think it's worth repeating to get
Yeah.
that information out to the public that libraries are changing and
Yep.
their budgets are changing because of financial issues like this. I just think it's worth repeating.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you for
you.
speaking
Yeah,
to that.
thank you so much. And I would love, if anyone wants to come out for a tour. Obviously the building is new to me, but I feel like I know my way around. And I just love giving tours to the library and just talking about the library. So, for any of you and anyone who's here or online, if you come in and ask for Carolyn, I'm happy to just walk you around and share a little bit about us. So,
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Please tell your board, thank you as
Yeah.
well, because she has a really incredible board of directors.
Yes,
that
very
works with
lucky,
her as
for
well.
sure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, there are no further presentations. There's no resolutions, no agreement. We're going to move right into the council members forum. Ken, you're first on deck. Water and wastewater.
Hey,
Thank you, Steve. Can I be heard, Steve?
Sure, he'll ask you to step up here in a minute. Go ahead, Ken.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to mute one of them. There's an echo, Ken.
Yeah, just a second. Okay, how about now?
Perfect.
Just a second, Steve. Okay, tonight, I'd like to have Doug come up and present the Infomark report.
Good evening. Just a couple things to pass, about some things we got completed.
Can you mute whoever that is? Probably can, but do it. I know you can mute him. Go ahead.
Okay, we completed tank cleaning in tank 23 of the digester. That did come in on budget. The T13 final clarifier drive was replaced. We haven't had billing on that yet, but we expect that to come in on budget also. We had a few issues at the wastewater plant with some electronic controls for pumps and blowers. We did get that diagnosed and repaired. We had an issue with an anion unit actuator that opens and closes the valve. That was also repaired and replaced with a spare. As the report says, we're still in the process of updating our emergency response plans. I really don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions on the report.
Council, on any questions? Mark's report?
Actually, I do have one other thing. Mary, you'd asked about where the grit goes when we dispose of it at the last meeting.
Yeah.
I did find out that goes to the Frey Farm landfill.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, now that's it. That's all.
Ken, I know you were having some audio issues there. Is there anything you wanted to add?
I have no questions.
Oh, you're echoing again still. All right. I think I know Ken is having audio issues there, so we still do need to
How about now?
still echoing, buddy. Even further echoing. While Ken's trying to figure out his audio, we do need to pass a motion on the report.
I move to accept Infomark's report as presented.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. All right, we're gonna give Ken a little bit of a break there for him to figure out his audio. And Tanae, if you want to go ahead, you've got 11 things here.
Oh, boy. Okay.
If you, okay, so before I give the 2023 Public Works Project Review, I want to just give a little history of the borough roads for, I had to look it up myself, as well as I figure maybe the new council people as well wanted to know a little bit of history. So Rob, if you could put up the map, please. And I gave all the council a map, a little color coordinated.
Yep.
So I'll wait till it's up. Okay. So everybody can see that. So prior to the borough passing a paving plan and that being in place, the Public Works had no resources, really no funds for paving. They were just able to basically patch roads. So I just kind of want to give you a little breakdown of where they were before we put this paving plan into place. So 2019, if you can see, it would be the color like a light blue. That would have been basically in 2019, there was no paving plan in place. So they spent about $23,000 for concrete work on 2 roads that were done by the state. So we just had to do the concrete work on those curbs and so forth. So that was 2019. That was the extent of it. $23,000 is what that cost. So jump ahead to 2020. The map color looks like it's kind of a darker gray. That's when Public Works, as I understand it, started beginning to compile a list of roads that needed to be reconstructed and repaved. But of course, they lacked the budget allocation. So that year, the borough spent about $96,000 on some small paving projects. You can see we're not talking a whole big amount, maybe Middle Lane, Pine Lane, a couple little lanes. That's what cost $96,000 basically. So jump ahead to 2021. The expenditures increased to about $217,000 for paving, and you see that's the dark blue. So what does $217,000 get you for paving? Well, we got a little bit of Brookfield Lane Drive, a little bit of Lehman, and a little bit of East New Street. So that's what they were able to accomplish in 2021. So jumping to 2022, which on here is like a magenta color. That is basically East 2nd Avenue. So paving totals that year, it cost about $318,000. It didn't include concrete work on that one. So more and more roads were needed attention in the borough. So it was apparent that this budget needed to be established with a comprehensive paving plan. So going forward to address the needs of the community for the deterioration of our roads. So jumping ahead to 2023, you'll see it's like that pink-ish, reddish. So in an effort to adopt a proactive approach, the borough initiated the paving plan that we currently use. And in 2023, the budget was $671,000 for that first year. So this plan projected that Public Works would be able to pave approximately 1.5 miles of borough roads each year. And that would place all of our roads on a 20-year maintenance cycle. So you'll see what do we get in 2023? We had 6th Street, 7th Street, South Cedar, part of North, and then we did all the concrete work on Main, East Main, and Water Street, since those are state roads. So a lot more mileage, and we did hit, and I'll get to that next, almost our 1.5 miles, which is what our goal was that year. And you jump ahead to this year. So the budget was increased and approved for $1 million for paving in 2024. So you'll see on our map in the orange, we were able to do phase 1 so far has been done. That is, we got South Spruce, we got West Marion, we did Raspberry Lane, Lockup, Warwick, Cedar. We've got a couple Cherry Lane, Willow Street, and Oak Street. So we got a lot done in the first phase. And then tonight we're looking at approving phase 2. And that would also be what would be the bright yellow, which would be also paving Arrowhead Drive. So that would bring us to a total of 1.6 miles of road paved, which is a little bit above our goal. Could you switch, does anybody have any questions about that?
Danae, I have a quick question about I know specifically East Second Street, there were handicap access ramps installed as well. Was that part of that budget of the expense that you're referencing, were the handicap ramps?
Yes, those
That's all
are
part of
ADA
the
ramps.
yeah.
Those
Okay,
are all
the ADA
involved.
ramps.
I'll,
Okay.
I break that down in my next little,
Oh,
little,
okay. Thank
PowerPoint for you. Yep. Could you pull up, Rob, the PowerPoint, please? Just want to go over now. This is jumping ahead now to the 2023, 2024. So just to give you a little background in 2023, so the PennDOT paved Main Street, Water Street in 2023. And nothing was paved so far in 2024. No states, we don't plan on anything else, right, Rob, this year? Okay. And just a little heads up and for the future, looks like West Lincoln Avenue is potentially, we anticipate that to be the next state road that they're going to pave. Right, you can move ahead. Then there's a whole list here of all the all the roads that we kind of went through with the map. I just wanted to break them down for you so you could see what was paved in 2023, what was paved in the phase 1 in 2024, and then tonight, council, it's going to be in front of you as phase 2 to be approved. All right, you can move ahead. Now, big word bolded, tentative 2025. So, and I think that's probably not even, it may have even changed, Rob, already, because some of the roads that we were thinking we were going to do in phase 2 might be bumped over to 2025. So there could be, this could change at any minute. So your roads on there, don't hold us, hold us that we might actually get to that paving. So it's just, again, it's a list. And we do actually have a running list through 2023, Public Works does already, of tentative roads to be paved. All right, if you go ahead one more.
I think one thing to point out there, go back, just so everybody, I'm reading the footnotes at the bottom there. A lot of this is coordinated with the infrastructure work that may occur the previous year. So I know there's been a lot of work when this plan was put together to align with that work. Once we dig up the street, put all the infrastructure under the ground.
Right.
The ideal state is to pave that the following.
Right.
After UGI's done all their work.
We won't know when they're done. The problem.
All right, so tentative. And I just want to, next one, I just wanted to give you a little review then. So in 2023, we did complete 1.4 miles of paving. And as well as 16 ADA ramps. And you can see some 565, is that 65, 85 linear feet in curbs. So that's what our budget then came, our total paving cost, thank you, were 515. I need new contacts. And then in 2024, if this phase 2 is approved, we will have paved 1.6 or just a little bit above our goal. In 2024, 44 ADA ramps. And then there's an estimated cost then of $938,703. So I want to just to kind of go a little further, like the future plans basically with Public Works. Andy, I met with him and his crew. He has identified a list of roads that are suitable for micropaving as well. What's micropaving? Because I had no idea. So I looked it up. Micropaving is a cost-effective technique that can extend the life of asphalt while improving skid resistance and other surface characteristics. Does that sound about right? Okay. So it's most effective on roads showing low severity of cracking, raveling, and oxidation. So, however, it's important to note that once a road reaches a certain level of deterioration, micropaving is no longer viable. So a full reconstruction becomes necessary. So a strategic benefit of listing roads right for micropaving is by addressing these roads with less deterioration sooner, we can significantly prolong their lifespan, delaying the need for more extensive reconstruction for many more years. So he has a good list to break down to different roads that he thinks. And Andy, have we ever done that yet? Okay. So it might be a good time to, we can test that out on some roads. So This was just a little overview. I mean, we want to create a beautiful town, we must maintain our roads. So by implementing this paving plan, we can ensure our roads remain in excellent condition, which would reflect the charm of our community. I just wanted to bring you all up to speed on that. Does anybody have any other questions?
Janae, I have a question. It's my understanding that when a road gets repaved, if there are sidewalks that need to be repaired, that's when that starts to take place? Because I know we continue to have challenges in our borough with sidewalks that are higher. And we've had people trip on them and those kind of things, but I understand that we have to wait to get those repaired after the street is paved, and then the property owner has 1 or 2 years to get it completed. Is that correct?
We send notifications out prior to that. The one that I'll remember is on Orange Street. We had to go that. So we'll send notifications out to everybody to get the sidewalks done. And it's also, Jerry, when we made the decision to take the curbs, because the curbs is really what's holding up the paving more than sidewalks, unless it's an integral sidewalk with the curb. So, we took on the cost of curbing, but we send out notification. Yes, there's a time frame at which want people to go through, and Andy goes around and marks the sidewalks and tells them, which ones are within compliance and replace. Elijah.
But with Orange Street, that was before we took over the curbs with the
Right.
stormwater
That
fee.
was kind of when we changed that.
So that was required. The homeowners had to replace their curb and sidewalk prior to the paving. And I think they had maybe 6 or 8 months, and it can be a burden on some people. After we took over after the stormwater fee was implemented and the borough started replacing curbs with those funds, it was shifted to send the letters out after paving so that there wasn't any conflict during the paving and the curb replacement. And then typically we allow them to have 2 years to replace it during that time.
Elijah, one thing that I want to, again, I'd like you to clarify for everybody, and including the council, is prior to us putting together this paving plan and the budget plan years ago, our only funding source was what's it called from the state?
Liquid fuels.
The liquid fuels was the only way we had money allocated for the paving. That's also why you saw the change, because that became less and less each year. So
Correct. Yeah, I don't know offhand. It's like maybe 180,000 that we get every year. Rob probably has the number
right.
pretty close.
So you saw how much you could get, as Tanea pointed out there, with the 180,000. Why that plan was developed 2 years ago.
This
Okay.
is very helpful. Thank you. It's really good to see the plan laid out and to see the work that's been done, and also the increase in investment that is being made in our infrastructure. I think, like most of you do, I do hear about the condition of the roads from constituents. So this was very helpful. Thank you.
Right. I'm going to turn it over here to the 2024, the Phase 2 paving bid over to Rob.
Yeah, so the phase 2 paving, in your packets last week, you received a letter of recommendation from David Miller to that all the bids that came in were fine and to accept a little bit of H&K. I'm taking that a step farther from a budget standpoint, saying that we only approve Arrowhead Drive for the paving. You see the costs there are listed on your memo, broken down between the curb work and the actual paving work. And then on page 2, it's much more detailed. It shows every portion of Arrowhead, line item, unit cost, things of that nature, and where it'd be coded to and what the final dollar amount is. Basically, I feel like where our phase 1 paving will end up, and doing this work will get us really close to our budget number that Tanea had before, about $940,000. It's a little less than budget, but it does leave us a little wiggle room for contingencies and things like that. If we tried to add in other roads that were included in the bid, we would go over that $1 million number. So it's kind of the sweet spot for us. We have kicked the can on Arrowhead for I'd say at least 3 years. So it's definitely needed. Happy to answer any questions. Just as a point of a clarification, when you make the motion, make sure you just the Arrowhead Drive. We do have that right, even though all the bids are include for all the roads, we're just doing Arrowhead Drive. So in our contract, we have the right to pick and choose which we want to do. So, thanks.
Any questions?
Is H&K the same company that was awarded for phase one?
No, great question. H&K, last work they did for us was the bridge, Elijah, right? Wasn't it H&K on Cedar Street?
They were the overarching, we mainly worked with Handwork, which was one of
Yeah.
their subs, but
Yep.
yes.
Yep. They've bid before, they just never have been awarded.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2024 Phase 2 paving bid for Arrowhead Drive only from H&K Group, Inc.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Thank you. Janelle.
All right, this is the special event for the Apaco Lititz, going to be on October 26th, 2024, running from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's put on by Venture Lititz. It's going to be a Halloween themed 5K, and the race is again start at 9 o'clock. And they've expected about 170 to 200 people. All right, this is the only event, special event that I have. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Apaco Lititz from Venture Lititz on October 26, 2024.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
All right, I've got 5 activity permits in a row. I'm just going to breeze through these. I've got one for the 13th annual Simply Christmas put on by the Lititz United Methodist Church, scheduled for December 8th, running time from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's special stations, food court, crafts, live nativity is what they're going to be having. Attendance 400 to 500 people. Any questions on that one? Okay. Next is Christmas in the Park, put on by the Lititz Springs Board. It's going to take place on 12/6/2024 from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They're going to have songs and they're going to be lighting the tree. Expected between 1,500 to 2,000 people. Questions?
No.
Okay. Got the Trunk or Treat. This is put on by the Lititz VFW in their parking lot. This date is October 19th, 2024, from 10:30 in the morning till noon. They're going to be trunks filled with candy for children. Anybody have any questions on that one?
Was there age restriction on that?
Nope, it doesn't say. You're good. Open to everyone.
You're good, Mary.
Yeah. Get your bag. All right. Next one is the 717 in the community. It is put on by the 717 Church. Its date of activity is October 31st, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The church is going to be presenting in the parking lot that they share with the Lititz Mennonite Church. And they're going to have a trick or treat night as well, open for neighbors, just to get meet their neighbors, food trucks, snacks, bouncy house for kids. Anybody have any questions? One, okay. One more. Lititz Park Walk. It's going to be put on by the Lititz Art Association on October 5th, Saturday, October 5th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a small arts and crafts show in front of the Lititz Springs Park. Approximately 30 to 40 vendors will be set up. Any questions on those? All right, I'd like to make a motion for all of the activity permits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 activity permits I just went through.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
Okay, so council received a notice letter and a quote from Chief Nye. This is about the 8 parking meters that need approval to be purchased from Duncan Parking in the amount of $5,483. Now, this was already placed in the 2024 budget. 8 parking meters will take care of 16 parking spots on Warwick Street, since the near completion of the lofts at Lititz, and the recent Warwick Street repaving. And now it's time to place in the parking meters. So 8 parking meters will take care of 16 spaces. Anybody have any questions about that? Anybody?
My only question would be, any tenants on that street, have they been notified? Are they aware that this is happening? And, okay, thank you.
That both sides of the street, meters will go on both sides of Warwick. Kind of where Tim's gym used to be, right?
Okay, thank you, Chief.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase and installation of parking meters on Warwick Street.
Second.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
Okay. Last one is I have an application here for a handicap parking space request. It's for an individual who lives on East Main Street, 400 block of East Main Street. He has several health issues and needs a walker and a wheelchair, and he's asking, there is no handicap parking space out front. So he's asking for one to be put there. Does anybody have any questions about that, Burns?
There's my neighbor. I know exactly.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the handicap parking space outside of 411 East Main Street in Lititz.
Second.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved.
And then just a quick reminder, we've got the trick or treat is going to be Wednesday, October 31st between 6 to 8 p.m. And the Halloween parade is the Monday before that on October 29th at 7 p.m. All I have.
Great. All right, Ken, hopefully it sounds like your audio is working a little bit better, so we're gonna hand it back over to you for finances.
Hey, good evening, Steve. Is that coming through better?
Yeah. It's not
Okay.
echoing now.
Sorry about that. I had both the computer and the phone working. Hey, just a quick heads up. The Water Sewer Committee met twice between meetings, and there's some good work going on in the water plant. We have a study in progress for a capital project in 2025 that's going to study the use of chlorine liquid instead of gas. This is for safety reasons and expense. So that's something that's going on now to get ready for next year. As far as the sewer plant, all projects are complete except for the work needed to be done on the utility pump number 3. And then we've received an engineering study for a bypass conveyor. And this is something I'll speak about a little later. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 16th, and the Borough Authority has no report. We did not meet. The next meeting is in October. To give us a quick heads up on MS4, Mary, do you have a couple highlights for tonight to share?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. The only thing I want to do is call people's attention to a pamphlet that came out in your latest utility bill about leaf collection. It's important that we get leaves collected off of the streets, that they don't go down into storm drains. It doesn't say it here, but it's great to leave your leave your leaves lay on the ground. Mulch them up with your lawnmower, but then this also mentions that leaf collection will begin on Monday, October 15th. Last day to place leaves on the street for pickup will be Sunday, December 15th. Please do not put leaves over storm drains or block storm drains. And that's the extent of my report tonight.
Hey, thank you, Mary. Thank you. Steve, did we approve the Infomark report as I was
Yes.
struggling with audio? You did? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then Doug, thanks for coming in. I appreciate that. Let's move on to finance, where you have me regularly scheduled. In front of council, you have the financial statements. Really not much to review here. Expenses continue to outgain our revenue. This is normal at this time of year for the general fund. So that's generally what you see there. Nothing else to really point out. Any questions from council?
No questions here, Ken.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial statement and pay all the bills.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion approved.
Okay, Steve, I have two other quick actions of business which are good for everybody to learn about. One is it's budget season, and so there's a lot of activity across our borough and our departments. And one of the ones that's coming up tonight is that both the Lititz Borough and Warwick Township split the expenses to operate the water or the wastewater treatment plant. So we split our expenses, or we share them based on the flow. So tonight and every year in September, we present a preliminary wastewater treatment plant budget to council for preliminary approval, or for approval, so that they can be included in the Warwick Township budget. So everything that we saw is good, but I just want to let people know of some highlights. One is, as I mentioned earlier, that we are working on a design, permit, and build of a solids conveyor at the wastewater treatment plant. And this is important because in case the dryer was ever to fail, we would have an expensive workaround to remove all the cake or the solids to a dump. So this conveyor is a needed investment to help the dryer or get rid of the waste when the dryer fails, and we hope it never does. Some other highlights are to replace manhole number 6 and number 7, to develop a plan to address areas of concern in the hazard mitigation plan that Mary mentioned last month. And then we continue to investigate and repair I&I throughout our region. So please note that the design and permit for the solids conveyor is an expensive line item. It's about $200,000, and we plan to move forward with that next year. Other expenses were in line with previous years, and so tonight I'll take any questions for this preliminary approval at this point, Steve.
No, as I'm studying it, like you said, everything seems to align pretty consistently across to the line item there. Looks like the one that we're lowering the budget on, where we're ending, is the chemicals there.
Mm-hmm.
Lowering that by about 60,000.
Yep, Infomark has made some changes, recognizing some of their cost improvements with a different selection and still providing the same level of service. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2025 preliminary sewer fund budget for review and to be incorporated with the Warwick Township 2025 budget.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion approved.
I did have a quick question, Ken. Is there a separate capital budget for the sewer plant?
Yes. And that's what Rob has been working on for the past year. We want to include some of those capital investments that we need when we incorporate that in our rate study. Correct, Rob?
Okay.
I can't hear Rob, but
He's just saying that it's on a different sheet, but I think if I understand correctly, what's included here is any capital projects that we anticipate doing, but there is a separate capital plan that includes other projects projected
Right.
out 5 years, 10 years.
10 years. I think we went 10 years, Mary.
Okay, yeah, that's what Rob is saying is 10 years. And I also just want to call attention to the investigate and repair I&I inflow and infiltration, correct?
Yes.
And that's really critical because our share of the costs is based on flow, how many gallons are flowing through the system from the borough versus Warwick Township. I believe we're around 53% and the township is around 47%. And when something like that, is that about approximate? And what happens is when it rains, we get more water in the system, flows go up. So we really need to tighten up our system. So this is a good investment in a cost saving measures that we pay a lot of attention to. to keep our costs down and make sure that we're getting a share, a fair shake on our share of the bill there.
Ken, it looks
That's
like
all.
you have one more item on there.
Yes, I do. The second thing is the Lititz Borough Police Department vehicle purchase. The background here is that we're looking to replace a 2010 Ford Fusion, a 2012 Ford Explorer. Both vehicles meet the Lititz Borough capital policy requirements for replacement for police vehicles. And in these particular cases, both of them are over 10 years old, as you can see. So the vehicles have been spec'd out. We're looking at 2 Ford Broncos. And not only will the vehicle come with the basic structure, but also will be upfitting costs for lights and other things that will be required to be a detective vehicle. Chief has gone through the proper channels to go through CoStar and find the vehicles, and he's found one with the Whitmore Ford in Mount Joy. So he's met all the requirements for purchasing. Police vehicle replacement is normal, and they have these vehicles have run their course. These updates are needed to continue to serve our detectives and the work that they do. As far as funding, we had a project that is not going to be done here. That's the HVAC project. As we got into that, we received no bids. No contractors wanted to tackle that. So we're going to put that back on the drawing board and figure out how we can overcome that challenge. So with that being delayed, we do have funding that can support this purchase by the policy that or the guidelines that the chief has followed. And the total amount for those vehicles has been adjusted down, and I believe it comes in at $73,083.90 for 2 vehicles. So let me pause and see if there's any questions or anybody to add to that.
I just have a question, Ken, just trying to go through. So the capital scorecard was equipment, vehicles that need replaced, and each public works, police, they were supposed to put a number on it. So these 2 vehicles were already in the budget to be replaced, correct?
They were not in the budget, but we have
okay.
the funding to support this request. So, and they do qualify for being replaced.
And then we will sell the current vehicles and put that money back into this fund?
Yeah, that is correct. If Chief wants to comment on that, he can.
Okay.
He said, yes, we'll sell them, Ken.
Yeah. So I don't need a motion. It's more just informing our team that this is happening, and the finance committee believes this is the right steps to move forward.
Anything else,
Okay.
Ken, for the finance report?
Yep. The team, Steve, we are meeting more than once a month as we sort of tackle the different components of the budget. We are now trying to have more like a micro meeting and attack specific areas of the budget so we can deliver everything on time. So there's more meetings planned than just once a month. And the meetings have gone well, and we appreciate everybody's support. That's it. Thank you for your time.
All right, Ken, Rob's indicating someone online has a question. Caller, go ahead and identify yourself and ask your question.
Hello, Linda Carson, 220 East 6th Street. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi,
we hear
Linda.
you.
Good evening.
Hello, I would like to know how many officers are on the force and how many are out at one shift and how many cars do we currently have? Thank you.
Chief, do you want to answer that?
Chief, if you'd take the first part, I would like to add to that after you speak, okay?
Yep, Chief's coming up to answer, Ken.
Yep.
Okay.
Currently, we have 14 officers. We're in the process of trying to hire 2 more at the end of this year. Our contingency normally is 16 officers. Typically, officers on the shift is either between 2 and 3 officers per shift. Currently, we have 14 vehicles, and we're going to with these, we're going to actually sell 3 vehicles instead of 2, because we have found there's some vehicles we just don't use that much. So it'll put us down to 13 vehicles. Vehicles, patrol vehicles are assigned to 2 officers on opposite shifts. And so it's not wear and tear on one particular car all the time. So an officer that works like a Monday, Tuesday, he has a car, then that officer maybe Wednesday, Thursday will use that vehicle. Detectives are assigned a vehicle, myself is assigned a vehicle, and the sergeants are assigned a vehicle, and they share those vehicles.
Thanks, Chief. Ken, you want
Chief,
to
before
add
you,
something?
but yeah, before you leave, Chief, I think one interesting thing that I've learned, and Linda, to help understand the need for vehicles, is that when a shift is out, they're assigned a vehicle. Sometimes they're not finished up with their shift at a specific time, and if the next crew is coming in and they were needing that vehicle, we cannot deploy that next shift. So there's a nice ratio of vehicles to officers, so that as we provide for protection for our community, that there's always a patrol car for our team. Does that help answer the need for the ratio and how we deploy?
I think you answered the questions there, Ken.
Okay.
Good.
Thanks,
Hey,
Chief.
Chief,
Thank you.
thanks. Thank you.
Nothing else on there, Rob? All right, and nothing else from the Finance Committee, Ken?
We're done.
Okay. Jerry, Personnel?
Nothing to report.
Chris, Planning?
Nothing to report this month.
Mary, Zoning?
Nothing to report.
Ken or Jerry, I think you
Yes.
guys are tag teaming this one, the Buildings and Grounds.
Yeah, Jerry, take her away.
Well, I'm gonna hand it off to Elijah.
Sure. So this is something that if you've been here on council or you've been coming to these meetings, you've heard this before. There is a parcel that is the basin that serves, it's off of Cambridge Lane, that serves Newport Commons and Newport Square. These were developments that were developed about 24 years ago. And for whatever reason, the parcel that has the basin, it's about 9 acres. It also has a trail and the floodplain for the tributary that's actually Lititz Run. It went on the tax roll, it probably never should. And the owner, the original developer, walked away from it. The county took it over, and now it's sitting on the repository sale, and you could buy this 9-acre parcel about $1,000. That being said, it isn't fully encumbered. If you purchase it, you are responsible for the stormwater upkeep and management. You are responsible for the recreational dedication that is held by Warwick Township and its floodplain. Warwick Township has asked us every time this comes up to not approve the sale because they are concerned that an absentee landlord is not going to maintain the stormwater facility to the degree that Wolf and Klein, which manages the apartments, manages it now. So it is essentially a parcel that has a lot of encumbrances and very little value. It's been on the repository for as long as I've been here. We get several calls a year about it. And in most cases, they hear what's the situation, they understand why it's on the repository, and that's the last we hear from this person. Very rarely, someone will just put money on it and say, well, if I get it, I get it, without reaching out to us or Warwick Township or anyone else. That's what this situation is today. It went on the repository sale. There was a bid of $1,000. And we, the school district and the county, all have to vote whether to approve this sale. The council has denied this sale, I believe, at least 3 times since I've been here. The school district votes essentially according to us, and the county always votes yes, because they're hoping they get some tax money from it at some point. But again, I spoke with Brian Harris over at Warwick Township. Again, Warwick Township says that it does not seem to be in the best interest of our residents or the township residents that are served by this facility for this sale. I did manage to track down the purchaser, which was from a group called LLC Land Buyers LLC out of Texas. I explained to them the situation, and their one question was, can I get my money back if you say no? And I said, yes. And they said, okay, go for it. So I even spoke with the county about this. They don't require official action, but because this is, there's 3 of you that have not experienced this, It's been a while since we discussed this. We
Mhm.
felt it was probably valuable to bring it up.
Appreciate that.
If I recall, Elijah, we did a study on this a few years ago also, because its current state, beyond the long-term maintenance of it, its current state does not, meet the requirements of what I want to say the outfall structure was not where it was. I want to say there's trees now growing.
And Wolf and Klein, actually, we met with them 2 years ago and they began maintaining it. They actually, I don't know that they reset the outfall structure, but Warwick Township and the ELA was there and they were basically going through a maintenance plan. And it's better today than it was probably any time since I've been here.
I think I remember we had DMA kind of do like an estimate on what it would take to get it to current compliance, because Elijah said if you take it on, then it becomes a bigger problem, because we had looked at it and said, okay, could it become part of the park system? There's some value, because if you know where it is, you're going on Oak, you take the right after Bondfield, and it's like all the way in the back there. You probably see it if you ever take that trail, the walking trail behind it. But it was just, there was too many things that needed fixed on it. Take on that burden.
Elijah, for education purposes, are you able to speak briefly to the nuance as to why it cannot be taken off the tax roll?
So I don't know all the mechanics of it, but there's no way to compel the original owner to take it back. And until there is essentially someone purchasing it, they won't take it off the repository. So we did bring it up, it was many years ago, it was before COVID, but it essentially was a dead end. And the only way to get it off is if someone buys it. And someone's essentially, buying something that they would have to take care of or walk away from again. Right.
And there's no way to purchase it and then essentially deed it back to Warwick Township or the borough, or?
Possibly,
Okay.
then, Warwick Township is maintaining it, or for whatever reason, the borough was not a party in the long-term, in the O&M.
Right.
We were not a party to the dedication of recreational. For whatever reason, that was held by Warwick Township. Even though the development itself bridges the boundary and there's residents in both. So whoever gets that is then responsible for taking care of it.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Jared,
So,
you have anything else there?
No, I guess we need to take a motion not to approve the sale of this parcel of land, which would be in response to our other partners, the school district and the Warwick Township.
I'll second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, all in favor? Yeah, I'm sorry. Motion approved. It's getting late and tired here. Anything else, guys, on the buildings and grounds?
No, sir.
Okay. Flipping the paper over here. Jerry, benefits and insurance.
Nothing to report.
Regional plan, Mary?
I want to just report that at the September 10th meeting, we approved the adoption. For those of you who weren't here that night, we approved the adoption of the plan. Elizabeth Township approved the plan on Monday night, last Monday, I think it was. And we are beginning conversations about the implementation. I was really pleased with the turnout that we got on September 10th. We have about 10 people who have already signed up to say, we want to help with this. We're excited. Be dealing with a number of the different issues in there. Elijah and I have met and begun to sketch out a plan for the implementation. And one immediate item that will be coming to the Planning Commission with the concurrence of council, I think the good way to handle it is that we would like to go ahead and pursue the map amendments, the zoning map amendments to reflect the future land use that is outlined in the approved comprehensive plan. So we'd like to put that on the agenda for discussion by the Planning Commission at their meeting next week. So it would be good to have council concurrence on moving forward with that, beginning the process of amending our zoning map. And if anybody's interested who's here tonight, there are copies of maps leaning against the wall over here. that show those changes, and I'd be happy to talk with you after the meeting if you have questions about specific things. We did review it in detail at the meeting on September 10th, and the property owners have all been notified, I believe. And we have talked about making sure that people in the adjacent areas are also informed about this process moving forward. So I don't think we need a motion. No, but just general concurrence. If anybody has any concerns or questions about moving forward with that next step, I'm happy to discuss that.
My understanding that this is pretty important. The zoning decisions really set the stage for the future.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's important that we take action. Helps us plan for the future. So I concur.
Thank you, Jerry. Any questions from the audience about that? Okay,
Thank you, Mary.
thank you.
Believe that concludes the council members forum. So moving on, you've got DMA's report there. Scott is here if you won't share anything.
Oh, you have my report. We reviewed a couple plans this month. We did secure HOPs to allow for the patching of 2 utility repairs that were done on the north side and the south side of Broad Street. So hopefully those patches can be done soon. It took PennDOT a little bit of time to get us those back. And we also worked on the paving bids, like was mentioned earlier, to review those for the borough. And there were some miscellaneous MS4 activities that we do sort of every month, keeping you in line with what needs to be done per your permit. We are also going to be working with borough staff on determining ways to try and help better identify how a bicyclist, or possibly pedestrian, but mostly bicyclists, can get from Oak Street to downtown. We understand the path isn't in yet. We're getting close, but we're not quite there yet. So there are some signs up. There's green signs that indicate the bikeway to get you around Front Street and then down North Lane. We think that people need a little bit more help in order to identify that. So we're looking at installing some stencils on the roadway that will, they're sort of bike share, lane share stencils that we're going to use that are approved by the federal agency that does these MUTCD. So we're going to look at adding those on also. One of the other items that I spoke to staff about was there's currently already on the books regulations that prohibit bicycles, skateboards, scooters, a handful of other vehicles like that from going on the sidewalks on Main Street and on Broad Street. And we think that there needs to be a little bit more education about that, because on a regular basis, there are bicycles that go down. I think they come off the trail, they make a left, and then just ride the sidewalk all the way down through, which is a real safety concern. And that's why it was put into one of your regs before. It specifically calls those roads out. So I think we're going to look at some ways maybe to add some signage at the end of the trail or along that way to let people know that that's not something you're supposed to be doing. I walk that way regularly, and almost on every trip, somebody comes up behind you on a sidewalk. I was telling a story last week. We had somebody come up behind us and start ringing a bell at us on the sidewalk in front of Linden Hall that we were supposed to get out of the way for them because they were coming down the sidewalk.
Did you educate them?
I did. And they got off their bike and walked around us as part of that interaction. But we think education needs to be the key to that, to let people know sort of where you're supposed to go, try and direct them properly, and then let them know where they're not supposed to go at this point. It'll get easier once the trail's in place, but I think all that stuff will still be important as we move forward.
Yeah, I've caught people lost there at the end of North Lane when they continue up North Lane to my house.
And behind your house, yeah.
I'm like, no, go down there and turn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a map? Do we have any kind of a map of that route, the suggested route
I don't.
for the bicycle?
We do. It's not easily found.
Okay. That would probably be a good thing to try to get out there, and maybe even get it on the Warwick Ephrata Rail Trail website. I was actually looking at the website earlier today, and the map still, it has the dotted line there, but you can't tell where it goes. And I live here in the area too, and I don't even know where it goes. So, I mean, I regularly ride the lanes and things, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You just have-
maybe getting a map that we could,
We have.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when we
There's,
get the
there's
sheriff.
signs
Correct.
now, Mary,
Yeah.
like you go down north.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the stencils will really help
Yeah.
try and guide
Because
people.
they're looking down when you're
Yeah.
riding a bike.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
Great. Thank you.
Just a question, Scott, on number 2, just curious, Warwick Fieldhouse plans,
Sure.
but what is exactly, what's that?
This was.
It's
the-
done,
the-
right?
The
So-
structure's up, it's all done,
Right.
everybody's using it. I went by tonight, there was a soccer game there. This is once they get done with the project, they've posted some money with the borough to say, we're gonna do this and we're gonna finish it all properly. And then once they're all done, they come back and they say, hey, we'd like our money released. Typically, it's in a form of a letter of credit. So then we go out and we check and we say, check all the boxes of the stuff that we were holding money for. And if it's all good, then we write a letter that says, you get your money back. If some of the stuff's not done, then we say, well, you get most of it, but maybe not all of it. So
Okay.
that's what that
You
one
probably
is.
have seen those escrow releases we've done for like Warwick Woodlands, one that we've done
Right,
quite
right.
frequently.
Okay,
Scott has to prove that before we go
Gotcha.
through, and he also has to give a final approval at the conclusion that links to the final certificate of occupancy also. That was something we implemented, I want to say like 10 years or so ago. What would happen, the building would be done, but there might have been some site things that weren't done and giving C of Os,
Yeah.
never getting them to come back and finish.
okay.
And that's typically on the developer to ask for that. We don't go and say, look, you have this. Eventually, if it's out long enough, we might give them a little nod and say, hey, look, you've had a letter of credit out here for 5 years and the project's been done. Sometimes they literally forget about it, depending how big of an operation they are. So we will help them occasionally get back to remembering that.
Gotcha. Okay.
But,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
okay, thanks.
All right, report by the mayor first. You got anything, Mayor? Chief, anything further? We have both Elijah and Rob reports. Elijah, anything more you want to share other than what's in your report?
No, only thing other than planning, regional planning and other things like that would be working on the easements for Front Street. One is pretty much ready to go and talked with Mike Davis. The other one I have to get an answer one way or the other from the owner.
Any questions for Elijah's report? Rob, anything to add to yours?
Yeah, just real quick, not included. The Cedar and Lincoln Culvert is all finished. Just a refresher, we had a grant to do some of that project. So now the audit needs to be done 180 days post construction. So we anticipate that's going to happen in November. Wasn't included in your report. Just want you to know that Brown Plus will be doing that audit for us on that project. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Rob? Okay, thank you, guys. All right, we're coming to the final stretch here. No new business, no unfinished, no other business. So we are officially at the public comment time. If anybody has any comments, questions about anything that was not covered today, if so, please come up and state your name. Rob, assuming you're looking online to see if anybody's got any questions or comments. All right. No comment. Buddy, one final thing.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Motion approved. Thank you all very much.